Welcome to Excel with Mahnaz. Today I'm joined with Adele. Adele is a soul strategist. She has a gift to see people on a soul level, and this is what she uses to help them harness their spiritual gifts and inner fire to create their greatest soul-led life. So welcome, Adele, to Excel with Mahnaz. I'm so excited to have you on my show, and I would love to find out more about you. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a mum of five. I live in London, born and bred in London. I am also a home educator to my three youngest children, and I'm a soul strategist. I call myself that because I'm able to see people on a soul level and help them to strategize to find that place themselves, because a lot of the time people find that really hard. I've had these gifts for as long as I've known, really. I'm a psychic medium as well. Yeah, so that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Wow, so it sounds like you've been aware of these for a long time. So tell me about your childhood and how that all came about. How
What
you
with my
sort of discovered
gifts?
them? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So for as far back as I can remember, I would always have like really strange things happen. Like I would see people in a room that others didn't see. Like I'd say, "Oh, mum, the lady over there," and she'd be like, "No, there's no lady over there." And then I would have people talk to me, and my mum would say, "Who are you talking with, Adele?" And things like that. So I knew, I think I could say maybe 5 years old is the furthest I can sort of think of a time. I was always able to sense danger as well. There was a time my mum went to look at a house and she was with me, and the estate agent's there, and we're all ready to go in, and I must have been about 5 or 6 years old, and I refused to go in the house. Like, nope, not going in, it's bad in there, I was saying to her. And she said, no, it's fine, come on, let's hurry up. And she couldn't get me in the house, and where I was only 5, she didn't want to leave me outside the house, so they had rearranged to come again in the morning without me, the next day. And then my mum had a phone call that morning to say, oh, you can't come and look at the house, it's been burnt down. They're not sure how the fire started, but the whole house is basically burnt out, so you won't be able to come and view the house.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
something that I sensed with the house wasn't right. And just little things like that would happen throughout my childhood, and I never really understood it. And when I got to about 17, I had a Saturday job in the King's Road in Chelsea, and I would take the bus home. And one day, it was a really hot summer's day, I was stood at the bus stop and I was looking at this woman, and I could literally hear what she was thinking. And then I thought, no, it's my imagination. And I looked at a man and I could hear what he was thinking. And I was like, no, this is strange. And I thought I was going mad. And I remember being quite shooken. And I got home and I broke down to my mum and I said, I think something's wrong with me. I can hear what people are thinking. Like I could hear full conversations they're having with themselves. And my mum was like, it's okay, you've got the gift, I've got it, I'm a healer, your grandma has the same gifts as you, and your great grandma had it. You can choose to embrace it or you can choose to put it away. It's totally up to you. And at that time I just chose to put it away, and I would just suppress it, I guess. And then just throughout my 20s, I would find, like, when I was being sociable and having a few drinks, certain things would happen, and then it stopped me from drinking, because I thought, oh, I always get these experiences when I've had a drink, so I suppressed that. And then my mum got a new neighbour, and this woman was like me, and she said, I told her the things that had been happening with me, and she said, why not come along to a retreat? It's a spiritual retreat. And I was a bit like, I don't know, what's that going to be about, sort of thing. But I went along. It was a weekend away and it was really nice. And that was the first time I learned about meditation, and actually learned what my gifts were about and why I had them and how to use them, and learned that I could switch them on and switch them off. So it wasn't that bad. So as I learned, like, it's like a muscle. You've got to keep on working at it. But once I knew how to do that, I was more easier, I guess, with my gifts. Throughout my 30s, I embraced it a bit more and stuff.
Wow. That's amazing. And how, when you were very young, it must have been quite sort of scary, just thinking, I don't know what's going on. And did
I
you
think
find?
I think because my mum never sort of made me feel scared, I
Hmm.
just thought, oh, okay, she can't see them, but I can. And like they weren't scary people. They didn't present themselves as evil or, they just wanted to
Right.
talk with me. So I
Okay.
just didn't see it as anything really. I just didn't understand why my mum couldn't see what I
And
could
it's
see.
and it sounds like it's just come down the generations of your grandmother
Yeah,
and your mother. So they
yeah,
must have been quite empathetic to, what you're going through as well at the same
yeah.
time,
Well, my
having,
mother
yeah.
was,
Hmm.
but in her time, like her grandmother and great and yeah, her mother and grandmother, they're from a religious Christian background, and
Yeah.
so they didn't embrace their gifts. They suppressed theirs because of the
Hmm.
religion.
Yes.
But my mum was allowed to explore hers. My mum's more of a healer, so she allowed me to explore mine.
Yeah.
I think as well, like my mum was a young mum, so she had me at 19, and I grew up in the family home, in her family home with all her siblings and stuff like that. So I find that my mum allowed me just to kind of be me
Yeah.
from a very young age, and I think that kind of helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, she would
Just.
never, yeah, she'd just allow me to try things and explore things, and
Hmm.
I kind of grew up in a place where I learned a lot of things very early, and I became very but like very responsible very early, I feel. you know
Hmm. Grew up
um
very quickly.
I grew up very quickly, and I grew up with all these teenagers as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
wanted to catch up with them, I guess.
Okay, so that's lovely. So you had like a safe space and really kind of supportive environment when you were growing up. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And how did you then start with your business? How did that come about? Because that's like you would never necessarily join the two together, and it must have taken some time to figure
Yeah.
out that this was your true calling.
It did. Like I said, I embraced it more in my 30s, but I would never tell people that actually, I have these gifts, because I thought people would think I was nuts. I was happy talking to people that got it, but I wouldn't sort of introduce myself like this
Yeah.
as I do now. And I would do the odd reading for people that knew, and word of mouth sort of thing. But I would never dream of coming on Facebook and doing anything on Facebook with it. My background was in events, so I just threw myself into that life, that world. And then, yeah, kind of, I got really ill towards the end of 2019. And it turned out that I was diagnosed with PE, which is pulmonary embolism. So that's clots in the lungs. It started out as one clot. And even though I was on thinners and medication, I ended up basically both lungs ended up full of clots. So I had to change medication a few times, and I had to stop working doing the work I was doing at the time. And I remember, I mean, I was always meditating and stuff. I always start my day like that anyway. I have done for years. I remember I kind of cried in this meditation and said, what is it I'm meant to be doing? Because, like, I don't know what to do, and this was sort of in the March, just before COVID hit. And like, just had this vision, and it was, you need to help women. You need to do what you've always been doing. This is the time now. You're going to have time to do it. And I didn't really get it. And I just said, well, how? And they were showing me the internet. They were showing me social media and just finding new friends. That's how it came across to me. But friends that do what I do, and just really
Yeah.
submerging myself into that community. So that's what I decided to do. And then before I knew it, all of the lockdown happened, and didn't have a choice anyway, sort of thing. And I just threw myself literally into all the spiritual communities online, and just all these amazing women, a lot of them with similar stories to mine. And yeah, it was just amazing. I just kind of went from there, started advertising. I do readings, and then had an influx of people wanting readings, and then yeah, it just kind of grew from there, really.
Fabulous. So can you tell me then, I'd love to know what the biggest transformation's been with somebody that you've worked with. What have they gone through, and where were they when you started, and where were they when you finished with them?
Mm-hmm. I worked with a lady that had a lot of insecurities, and it's because of her upbringing. She came from a a place where she didn't have encouragement growing up. So she had zero confidence and, you know, very flat in everything that she'd done. She wouldn't really push herself because she had this lack of self-worth, if you like. And then she just, you know, found me on Facebook or through someone's group or something, and she told me what, you know, what's happening with her. And she said, I really love to start my own business, but I just don't have the guts. Like I can't think of anything worse than doing a live or, you know, anything like that. And I've seen how confident you are, and, you know, there's something about you, and I'd really love to do some work with you. So we started out where because she couldn't afford at the time to do like a full-on 6-month package. I do like an hour mentorship, which is a lot cheaper. So she started out doing a few of those, and then we done that for about, I think, a month and a half. And then she was like, you know what, I'm just going to invest big time, because it was almost like in between those sessions, she would say to me, I really want to reach out to you, but I know that I haven't paid for that time. And I want you, I feel like I need you in my pocket. So anyway, I ended up working with her for 6 months. And during that time, the transformation was just mind blowing. Everything I told her to do, she literally done it. And that's very rare, you know. And then she realized, because she was doing it, she was getting a lot more attention, and it was really positive attention. And she found that quite overwhelming because she wasn't used to that. Her relationships changed with friends, the type of sort of like relationships in terms of like romantic relationships, the people that she was looking at, people that were drawn to her, were totally different. And it's because she had changed, you know. And then she was just so happy. And she's got a beauty business. So she's gone on to, she does live, she does like makeup tutorials live. And she does like all types of stuff. And she'll be sat there for hours, and people will just tune in, watch her do her makeup. And so this is something, and she'll say to me, I would never, ever have done this before. And it's just quite ironic that actually it's makeup and beauty as well. So it's really showing herself and really, you know,
herself out there.
Definitely. So she comes on with no makeup on, and then she's like, afterwards, she's amazing.
That's even more confidence.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, wow. So that, for me, there's been loads, but that's the one that really stands out for me.
That must have been amazing. It's so great to watch those steps. And like you said, if they actually, your clients are taking action with all the things that you are advising them and mentoring them through, you know, that's where half the battle is. But you know, once they make that and they get to see and they're motivated to continue on, that's amazing what they can do. And what a big change they can make. So tell me, when you started back in your business, when you originally started, tell me what really helped you get started in your business?
What helped me? I think it was just the community I was in. It was a bit like, well, if they can do it, I can. And just sort of stepping out, really. And I had and I'm a big like believer in, you know, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I had that going on in my mind. I would always think about, okay, what have I got to lose by doing that? Nothing. Okay, let me just do it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Fantastic. Okay, I'll prepare myself for that. And anything better than that is amazing, you know? So I had that kind of mindset, because I've done a lot of mindset work before with coaches and stuff like that, before I even came into doing my spiritual stuff online. So I kind of knew how to, you know.
Interesting you said that about the people around you, though, because, you know, we are heavily influenced, whether we realize it or not, by the people around us, and they can really lift us up and really support us through this journey that can be so lonely. Can't it? You know, you're doing your own business, nobody understands what you're doing in the way that you know, and it can feel very much like you're on this treadmill all on your own, but really that support and, you know, collaborative, positive support around each other can be just so amazing, and help people to develop that courage, really, like you're saying, you know, if it's not mindset blocks, then it's just like next step, get to the next step and just keep going. So definitely. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Can you think of any mistakes that you made early on in your entrepreneurial journey that you think now, whether, you know, it was in terms of just what you were doing or anything at all that just kind of comes up for you that you wouldn't make now that you know more than you did then?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest mistakes was allowing too many people into my energy.
Okay,
so it's like I was so happy that I was like getting clients and people like was inboxing me, inquiring and stuff like this. And then I noticed that a few of those people would actually end up getting a mentoring session through the inbox without me realizing. And it was through my coach. When I was talking with my coach, she said, okay, but you shouldn't be giving all of that away through inboxing. Yeah. They're not paying for your time. And then I stood back and realized I'd done that quite a bit with a few people. Okay. And it's just because I'm just me and I'm just giving the knowledge as I would or whatever. And then when I learned to protect my energy and I guess respect my energy and my time and value my time more, I found that my business really grew. So that was huge for me, because there's a lot of energy vampires and, you know, they come across really amazing, but really they just want to suck anything from you that they can, you know.
Absolutely. So staying away from that as much as possible.
Exactly. And I sniff them out a mile away now. So.
Oh wow. Well, with your intuition and all of your learnings, I'm sure that is the case.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing then that I know the answer to my next question. Since you made changes to, you know, not allowing people to zap your energy, drain you, and giving that much, what was the biggest thing that you saw? I'm guessing it's all with your business growing and
I say it's with my business growing, but I'd say overall, even in my personal life, I found that I started to value my time more. And a bit like you know, in the work that you do, it's about working smart and not so much hard. I never liked the word hustle, and I didn't feel like I had to hustle. I don't want to be a hustler, you know, especially not a spiritual hustler. So I'm just, I feel that where I've pulled back and I work differently now, so I may pre-record content as opposed to do everything live and things like this. I've just helped my business and my personal life, because now I've got more time to be with my family or friends and stuff like that. Whereas before I was just constantly, you know, online, doing a live, doing a workshop, doing this, doing that. So
busy all the time, basically.
All the time.
Well, can you tell me next, Adele, what are your favourite, this leads on quite nicely from what we've been discussing, what are your favourite sort of productivity hacks or tips, something that you build into your day, into your habits, into your routine, because you know then that you get more productive and you get more intentional and you get more focus out of the time that you have, because that's obviously really important to you as well.
Probably one of my biggest things that I do religiously is do the miracle morning. I don't know if you've heard of miracle morning, lifesaver, savers, should I say. So that's like silence. The S stands for silence. So that's meditation. The A stands for affirmation. So every morning I'll get up, I'll meditate, I'll do my affirmations. The V is for visualize. So I visualize how I want my day to be. The E is for exercise. So I'll do some sort of movement. It could be through dance or yoga, just some sort of energy release. The R is for reading. So I'll take about 5-10 minutes and just read a couple of pages of a book. And then the S is to scribe, but, you know, to journal, if you like. So I'll do some journaling, and I do that every morning religiously.
Wow, okay.
And that whole thing takes about an hour. So what I tend to do is I get up earlier, because to fit all of that in. So my day usually starts about 5:30. And I would say to anyone, just doing that alone, just getting up earlier and starting your day, especially if you've got a family and the household to run, is just a spectacular thing, because everything feels different at 5:30 in the morning. You can go outside and get fresh air, and outside feels different. It's quiet. You can hear the birds. You can smell the fresh air, and I think just those little moments alone just kind of really gets you ready for the day. So then when the children start getting up at 7 o'clock or whatever, you're prepared for them, you know, mentally, physically, and you've done so much already because you've been up for a couple of hours, you know. So
you're fully armed with some juice inside you, aren't you? Literally. That sounds amazing. Like just listening to nature or doing just the most simple things. That's something that everybody needs to have. But it's great to hear how you incorporate it into your day, because like everybody's busy, and if you're a mum, you know, you're on duty or on call in some shape or form most of the day, whether that's, you know, doing things for them or with them. So it's so important, and it's great to know that everybody can find their own way. So what 3 tips or strategies can you share with us for somebody who is perhaps not as spiritual as you, and maybe they just want to bring that spirituality into their day and sort of bring more intention? And where could they start, and what kind of 3 tips could you give for them to really start with?
I say one of the most important things is quietening your mind, which isn't the easiest thing to do, but I kind of feel that that is kind of the basis of everything else, you know. And it could just be for 2-3 minutes, finding a meditation online on YouTube. That it could be a morning meditation where it's like a bit of background music. It could even be a guided meditation, because some people find it easier to sit through a meditation if they're being instructed, sort of, you know,
like guided.
Guided. So I would say that would definitely be the first thing. You're just stepping into this world and you don't know where to start with meditation, quieten your mind. The second would definitely be journaling, because for 2 reasons. The first reason is because your days change all the time. How you feel in the morning, you may feel totally different in the afternoon. So journaling, like I tend to do a morning journal, but before I go to bed, I write down my gratitude list and everything that I was grateful for in the day. It's not an easy habit to do. And I always say to people, if you're not a person that wants to sit and write, you can journal through your voice, like voice note how you're feeling, have like a verbal diary if you like. And the other good reason why you should do it is because in sort of 2-3 years time, it's always great to go back to sort of this time last year, how you was feeling, what you was going through, what has changed, has anything changed, you know. It's always good to look back, and also to see if anything has manifested that you've tried to call in, you know. So those are the 2 reasons why it's good to journal. And then I would say the third thing is be out in nature as much as you possibly can. I used to hate the rain. I used to be like, oh my gosh, it's raining, we're not going out today. Or, oh my gosh, it's raining, guys, run, let's get in, or whatever. Now I embrace every single element, you know, rain, sunshine, snow, in a different way, because I have a different view of nature. And it's such a powerful thing, nature. So get yourself out in nature as much as you possibly can. If you can work outside in the garden, do it, you know. Going for a walk for 10 minutes in the morning, go, you know, even if it's raining, when it's really heavily showering, go out in your garden, put your hands out and just really feel the rain hitting your face. So what if you're going to get wet? So what? You know, just really start appreciating nature more, and you'll find that after doing those 3 things, you will find beauty and love in everything. You know, and that that then brings the things into your world that you are trying to call in, because there's no resistance.
I love that. Amazing. It's almost like going back to as you were when you were a child. You found beauty in everything. If it was
Yeah.
raining and you want to splash in puddles and,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
do whatever, we just at some point stop doing all these things.
Yeah.
And the way I like to think of nature is that, you know, it's a blessing, whatever the weather is, it is a blessing in some shape or form, because, you know, if it's raining, well, you know, the plants are getting fed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, all the crops, all the animals, anyone who's, you know, needing that rain is getting rain. So we can, you're right, we can find beauty in everything if we look for it, if we spend time to look for it. That's amazing, Adele. I've loved chatting to you. I've got my last question for you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to yourself when you were starting your business, when you initially started? Thinking back now.
Thinking back now, probably to take it slow so that you can fall into the flow of things. Nothing, you don't need to hurry anything. Everything happens at the time it's meant to happen. And also when you fail, that's amazing, you know, fail fast, you know, and just get it done, but don't give up. Just, you know, keep pushing forward with everything.
Oh, that's fantastic advice. That is so good. And we all need to hear this, don't we? So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's amazing. I've loved all your tips and all your advice and your guidance as well. So where can anybody who's watching find out more about you, and have you got anything on offer, any freebies or anything that you want to mention as well?
Well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Adele Mckoy. And I also have a website, which is www.adelemckoy.com. And yeah, and also on YouTube, you can find me on YouTube under Adele Mckoy as well. My podcast will be starting soon as well, so you can look out on YouTube for that. I also have a membership for women coming into the spiritual, like this spiritual world. I know how sometimes it can become quite overwhelming and there's a lot of rabbit holes. So I've created a membership for people that want to find everything under one roof, as it were. There's different teachings in there, there's special teachers that come in there, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a community space where everyone is learning and growing together. And it's a space also that if you're already using your gifts, that you can practice in there as well on the ladies that are in there, you know. So it's an academy, it's like an academy, if you like. So yeah, and you can find all the details for that on my website.
Fantastic. I will pop the links in just below this video as well. So please, everybody who is interested in Adele's story and all that she has to offer, do check it out. And thank you so much for being my guest, Adele. It's been amazing chatting to you.
It's been amazing.
Thank you for sharing your story, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.